In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to trace requirements into your design using the new Matrix View feature of the GENESYS 2023 R2 release. Traceability into design is a common practice in engineering and is even required by some of the development standards to be able to show that you have considered all the requirements in creating your design. I have done some pre-work in preparing some basic packages to contain the sets of entities that I would like to use as the scope of my traceability. The system's operational requirements package contains the functional and performance requirements for the system, and the system's functions package contains the functions that are performed by the system. The goal is to create the relationships and show the traceability between the requirements and the functions. I go to the independent view structure in the Project Explorer and expand it to expose the new independent view called Matrix Views. Matrix Views offers users a means of visualizing in a grid one or more types of relationships between specified entities in one set and specified entities in another set. I click on the New Matrix View command in the ribbon to create a new matrix view, which we will call System Operational Requirements Coverage. The matrix view loads and is initially blank. Within the matrix view, I need to define the scope of the view and apply it before a grid will display. I select the source or rows class to be the requirements class, and I select the scope to be the system's operational requirement package. The dependency relationships between functional requirements and functions is basis of, and for performance requirements and functions, it is specifies. These are selected so that traceability to the functions can be seen in our visualization. In the target or columns class, I select the functions class, and I select the scope to be the system's functions package. Now that I have the scope selected, I can choose how to display the information. I will use the default direction to point from source, the requirements, to target, the function, and I will display the relationship using the default setting, show arrows. I click apply, and the grid populates. There are two sources of relations that can be viewed in matrix views. In the legend, you can see a solid arrow that represents a relation within a project, and an open arrow that represents a relation between or across projects. Additionally, the specific relations will get color-coded by the unique relationship name. In this case, you can see a green closed arrow next to the specifies relationship name. This indicates that at least one relationship is displayed in the grid for the specifies relationship type. You can see this relation between the requirement provide feedback and the function perform geospatial library functions. The provide feedback requirement is a performance requirement that specifies that the system shall provide feedback within 24 hours. The relationship you see here was one that was established earlier in the project. You can see that none of the other requirements have been traced. We want to work through them to show that we have considered them all in the design. We start with the accept request from certified customers requirement and trace it to the accept request function by double-clicking on the intersection point of the requirement and the function and selecting the basis of relationship. You can see the arrow appear. You will notice that the legend was updated after we made the relationship to contain the black closed arrow for the basis of relationship, indicating that at least one relationship of the basis of type is now displayed in the grid. We can add additional basis of relationships to the check certification response and notify customer of disapproval functions, as this requirement is the basis for those functions. The same process can be used to remove relationships. If I inadvertently made a basis of relationship to the provide product to customer function, I can remove it by simply double-clicking on the arrow and selecting the basis of relationship. The process of tracing would continue to go through each requirement and create the relationships to the appropriate functions until all requirements are traced. In the interest of time, I transition to our completed grid. You can see that every requirement has one or more relationships to a function. Now, we can look at some alternate visualizations of the data. I can display the matrix using the name of the relationship rather than an arrow by selecting Show Names and clicking Apply. You can see that the relationship name basis of and specifies have been populated in the grid. I can also display the data from the opposite perspective by selecting the direction to be to source rather than to target and clicking Apply. The grid populates using the reciprocal relationship in the visualization of the data. You can see that the relationship names are now based on and specified by. If I switch back to arrows and click apply, the grid will populate with arrows showing the opposite direction. The legend has also been updated to use the reciprocal language. Using matrix views makes it easy to see that we have considered all operational requirements in the development of our functional design. We can be sure that we have not missed any of them in the process.